Order! 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 Thank you. Thank you. There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. Order. Order. Bagaetsi. Bagaetsi. Re kopa tshebedisano. This is a formal sitting. So re kopa re tlhompeng. Ke a leboga. Honorable members, I have been informed that the Whippery has agreed that there will be no notices of motions or motions without notice. We now come to the address by the President of the Republic of South Africa, as reflected on the order paper. I shall now invite the President to address the House. Mr. President.
Honorable Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces,
Order!
Deputy Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, honorable members of the NCOP, the Acting Premier of Gauteng, the Mayor of Ekurhuleni, MECs and provincial speakers, premiers who are here amongst us, the national and provincial chairpersons of SALGA, the chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders, religious, community and traditional leaders, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Dumelang. Abshane. Sanbonani. Molweni. Ndimacheroni. Lochani. And goeiemôre. It is my singular privilege to have this opportunity once again to address the special sitting of the National Council of Provinces here in Ekurhuleni. This for me is very special because it must be a special moment when we can bring the parliament of our people to the people who elected its representatives. So they are here today to interact with you, and for me it's a real honor to have this opportunity to be amongst you. Ke lethabo le legolo mo nna gore ni koma nkarhi loyo wa gore ba ni nyika gore ni kota ku imala phambi ka n'wina. Ndi dakalo lihulwane nga maanḓa. This NCOP is a vital part of our democracy, and it gives voice to the diverse views, but it also gives voice to the needs and the interests of the people of South Africa. When we crafted our constitution, we took care to ensure that we would have an institution such as the NCOP that will be deeply rooted amongst our people and be an institution that would be the pulse, that would take the pulse of our people from time to time. So the NCOP is one of the most important instruments of the constitutional principle of cooperative governance, linking the national, provincial, and local spheres of government. It is in our provinces and municipalities that we are charting the course of our country's development by providing various basic necessities that our people need, such as water, electricity, housing, refuse removal, healthcare, and a whole range of other services to our people. Most of the work of improving people's lives happens here at the local level. It does not happen in the sky. It happens where our people live. The drafters of our constitution recognized that a strong, effective, and capable local government system is necessary for meaningful transformation and progress, particularly as we are having to deal with the legacy of a horrible past regime of apartheid. The Constitution clearly outlines not just the developmental duties of the most important level of government, which is the municipalities, but also places an onus on national and provincial governments to support and strengthen them, to enable them to perform their functions to the best of their abilities. As such, the NCOP can be justifiably proud of its innovative program of taking Parliament to the people. And we thank not only the leadership of the NCOP, but the members of the NCOP seated here, that they've had the foresight to continuously take Parliament to the people. We thank you for that. Every year, our MPs conduct oversight activities to identify challenges with government's service delivery programs and make recommendations on how these can be resolved. Just as I arrived speaking to the chairperson and the deputy chairperson of the NCOP, they started to outline to me some of the challenges that members of our communities here have told them about. They've told them about challenges of poor service delivery. They've told them about the challenges of crime in our communities. They've told them about the struggles that people with disabilities are having to live under. They've told them about the challenge in this area of illegal mining. They've told them about the congestion in the areas where people are living. So this gives us that opportunity to interact with our people so that we can hear as the NCOP and in the end as government, what the real challenges our people are living under. We are striving and making all efforts to consolidate the gains of our democracy, and we are also striving to chart a new path for development in difficult times. In the past few years, we have seen a rise in service delivery protests across the country. As we have seen these protests happening, we've also seen another worrying phenomenon of how these protests are accompanied by violence. Municipal IQ, an organization that monitors local government, noted this year that 94% of the service delivery protests that were recorded so far in 2018 involved elements of violence. In some instances, people have resorted to the wanton destruction of public property, where they burn buildings, where they burn municipal offices, where they even destroy clinics and schools and libraries. While there can be no excuse in a democratic society for violent protests and for the destruction of property, it is necessary that we own up to some of our failings as government. When citizens complain about lack of services and are treated with condescension, with indifference, and they are also treated with a dose of arrogance, they resort to other unacceptable methods. So as government, we must be honest enough that yes, there have been moments where we have failed and our communities have resorted to protests. But even as they protest, we would be calling on our people that yes, the right to protest is indelibly written in our Constitution. However, the right to protest must be exercised with due regard to the rights of all other people, and particularly, we should not be destroying our own assets, even as we complain. This tells us that we have sometimes strayed from the principles of compassion as government, of service, accountability, and transparency. We have sometimes strayed from the principles of Batupeli. The levels of disaffection and dissatisfaction highlight a growing impatience on the slow pace of service delivery, as well as unhappiness with the quality of services that are provided. We are not meeting the expectations of our citizens in a number of areas, but in a number of areas, we are rising to the expectations that our people also have. What is important is that we need to outline the role of our MPs in providing oversight and holding organs of state accountable for service delivery more effectively. This we would be able to do effectively when we face up in a very sober way to the realities that confront us. We need to face up to the fact that despite improvements in some areas, the vast majority of our municipalities continue to achieve poor audit results. This points to a lack of compliance, internal controls, and in some cases, the outright abuse of state funds. We need to face up to the fact that many municipalities find themselves in a protracted financial crisis, unable to properly fulfill their responsibilities to the residents of the areas where the municipalities are. The reasons for this range from financial mismanagement and non-payment for services to the absence of a meaningful revenue base and a weak economy. This requires the attention of all spheres of government, and it requires the close attention of the NCOP. We need to face up to the fact that unless we are able to bring our economy out of this period of low growth, of stagnation, we will be unable to create a better life for the people of our country. When our economy is strong, when our people have jobs, when government has more resources, our ability to deliver good quality services is vastly improved. We have embarked upon a new path of growth, renewal, as well as transformation. Our economy has faced a number of challenges over the past decade, resulting in the slow growth that we are seeing now, but also resulting in one of the most challenging issues we have to confront, which is deepening unemployment. This has constrained our ability to increase social spending, to build and maintain infrastructure, and above all, to create a conducive environment for the creation of jobs for our people. However, we have taken decisive steps to embark on a process to turn this around. In an improved political environment, through a combination of economic recovery measures and policy reforms, we are working to restore the economy and also to capacitate the state to fulfill its developmental mandate. We are working to ensure that more effective delivery of houses, of social security, of education, of health care, and other essential services does happen. We are doing everything within our means to ensure that the growth of the economy benefits all, especially society's most vulnerable people. In September this year, we announced an economic stimulus and recovery plan containing a range of measures to ignite economic activity, restore investor confidence, but more importantly, to create new jobs in our economy. It also included measures to address challenges in education, healthcare, and improve municipal social infrastructure. We are reprioritizing public spending to ensure that resources are directed to activities that have the greatest impact on growth and on jobs. In his medium-term budget policy statement, the Minister of Finance, Tito Mboweni, announced that an amount of 50 billion rand has been reprioritized to address infrastructure and other challenges in public health and education system to bolster the expanded works program. It is a priority of this government to improve the old and aging and dilapidated, outmoded social infrastructure that we see around us. Whether it is in hospitals, whether it is in clinics, in our schools, and water and sanitation facilities, or police stations. The Minister of Health, particularly as we were looking at this stimulus, raised the issue of hospitals and said, we do not have enough doctors in hospitals, we do not have enough nurses in hospitals, and we have now decided that, yes, we are going to embark on a recruitment campaign for doctors and nurses to come into our hospitals and clinics so that we can deliver good health care to our people. But he also raised another important matter that is close to the hearts of our people, which is that many of our hospitals don't have sufficient beds, and that many of our people who go to our hospitals are having to sleep on the floor under other people's beds, and that there is no bed linen, there are no sheets in hospitals. We are now addressing that in a focused way, right now. Now, all these are measures that we are taking to improve the situation of our people. We are also addressing the issue of pit latrines in the schools around the country, having realized that we cannot carry on with pit latrines that finally lead to the deaths of the most vulnerable people in our society, our children. That program is now underway, and we are hoping that we will eradicate pit latrines and deliver better and more humane latrines to the children of our country. We are also going to be addressing issues that many of you in this area are having to deal with. For instance, one of the hospitals in the area here, Tembisa Hospital, which I happened to visit, is facing enormous challenges. And it is one of those that we are going to address so that the overcrowding in that hospital and the challenges that they are facing should be addressed and should be addressed immediately without any fail. Of course, one of the things that we have to face is how we should enable our economy to continue growing. As we address issues of social infrastructure, improving service delivery to our people, we also need to look at how we can enhance the growth of our economy. And we therefore look at another important area of how we can re-industrialize our country, how we can turn our country into a world-class manufacturing center. And this is so relevant for here in Ekurhuleni. Ekurhuleni is the manufacturing capital of South Africa, and we want to continue growing there. So we want to re-industrialize, we want more factories to be built here in this area. We want more of our people to be employed. I was overjoyed a few weeks ago when I had to go and open a factory here in Ekurhuleni which makes trains, which makes locomotives, or trains. And the Gibela factory is the one that is now being put up to even build trains for the rest of the African continent. So Ekurhuleni is being upgraded to the level where it will soon be producing trains for the 54 countries on the whole continent, right here in Ekurhuleni. Now, that is the process of re-industrializing our country. That is the process of reigniting our manufacturing capability here in Gauteng. We are also establishing what we call an infrastructure fund to coordinate infrastructure initiatives across our country. This fund will be capitalized by government, but will also draw in resources from the private sector and international financial institutions. The Economic Stimulus and Recovery Program also focusing on unlocking key growth sectors in our economy, such as agriculture. We're increasing resources to provide support to black commercial farmers to increase their entry into the food value chains so that they can become serious farmers. We've got almost 250,000 emerging farmers that we are focusing our attention on to make sure that they get into real agriculture and increase the food security in our country. We are facilitating the signing of leases to enable farmers to mobilize funding for agricultural development. We are only too aware of the legacy of apartheid when it comes to special planning that has resulted in the neglect of both townships and rural economies. That is why we have earmarked several industrial parks in these areas for revitalization. This will go a long way towards providing opportunities for entrepreneurship as well as job creation. We are clear that employment and economic opportunities must be created where people live. Getting our people working and providing a favorable economic climate for jobs to be created and sustained is the greatest task at the present. In October this year, we convened a very successful job summit, which agreed on a range of measures to create more jobs, to avoid jobs being shared, to facilitate more investment in black-owned enterprises, and to support a number of companies that are in distress. This summit was a collective show of strength of the partnership between our unions, businesses, government, as well as community-based organizations. And we look forward to the implementation of the framework that they have adopted, that they agreed has the potential to create 275,000 jobs on an annual basis. And we are looking forward to those jobs being created. We've also been immensely encouraged by the commitment made by the financial sector of providing 100 billion rand to support mainly black-owned businesses over the next 5 years. 100 billion rand will be made to support our small, medium enterprises. South Africa has successfully recently hosted 2 landmark investment summits, the South African Investment Conference and the Africa Investment Conference. The overwhelming consensus at both of these events was that South Africa, despite the recent challenges that we are facing, is a favorable destination for investment and is looked upon by a number of countries and companies as a place where they can come and invest. Largely local companies, as well as some international-based companies. And at that conference, many of them being local and international, announced investments that they are going to make in our country, and real investments in the next 5 years. And they announced that they would be investing hundreds of billions of rands to invest in this economy. And that is going to be a major boost for the economy of our country. These announcements, together with many other investment pledges that we have received, underline the critical importance of well-run and capable provincial and local governments that are able to sustain the pipeline of investments. Whether it's a factory or a mine, whether it is a call center or a shop, every investment is located in a municipality. It is not located at the union buildings. It's located right here in the local area. It is therefore vital, as we welcome all these investments that run into hundreds of billions of rands, it is vital that municipalities themselves must create an environment where businesses are able to operate without difficulty, with access to reliable services and efficient regulatory processes. If investors want to come and invest in Ekurhuleni, they will expect that, yes, they will put their money here, they will build a factory, they will employ people of Ekurhuleni right here and create jobs, but they will expect that the municipality will be able to provide them with the water that is needed in their factory. They will expect that the municipality will provide them with the roads that are needed for them to be able to transport their goods. They will also expect that electricity will always be available for them to produce the products that they have. There needs to be effective coordination between municipalities and provincial and national government bodies to remove these obstacles that may stand in the way of investments. Ultimately, our ability to deliver on our commitments to fight poverty and inequality and to grow our economy finally rests on making the most efficient and effective use of the limited resources that we have, but also being very efficient in providing those services that are needed by investors who have come here to create jobs. The people of South Africa have entrusted us with the responsibility of leading them and improving their lives. We can and must attend to the core business of government and not allow ourselves to be distracted from carrying out this responsibility. We have registered significant gains in our quest to deepen democracy, to strengthen the capacity of the state to deliver and to deliver a better life for all. And it is for this reason that as government, having been given this task, we are determined that we are not going to be distracted by noisemakers on the side who want to distract us and make us not focus. We are not. Because noisemakers in the end have no responsibility. We have a responsibility to deliver for the needs of our people. That is where our responsibility lies. And we will make sure that we address whatever challenges that our people have and make sure that we deliver a better life to our people as a whole. We will not be distracted. We are emerging from a period of turbulence that we must now put behind us. The period of turbulence is what we must put behind us.
Honorable President, may I recognize Honorable Julius? On what point are you rising, Honorable Julius?
I'm rising on a point of order, Chairperson. Deputy Chair.
Order, 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 honorable members. Order, 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 order. It is within his right. Let us allow him to say what he wants to say. What is it that you're rising on, Honorable Julius?
Deputy Chairperson, you know that the rules of this House states that...
I can't hear. You see now, if you're making noise, I won't be able to make a ruling or a decision.
Tell them about the rule of the House. Yes. Tell them that they must keep quiet.
Honorable Julius, can I hear what you're saying?
Mr. President...
Can you speak to your mic as well?
My apologies, Mr. President, for stopping you, but this cannot continue. Deputy Chairperson.
Members of the public. Members, Batu Barona. Mudula Stula Abula. Mudula Stula Abula. Uite are. Anunki tulo eleng gore ke parliament. Ki tulo eleng gore ke parliament. Gantle ga la tshwanela go participate at all. So please respect members of parliament, allow them to say what they want to say, and then we'll respond to whatever. No.
Talk to your rented mob, Chair.
No.
Talk to your rented mob.
Honorable Member Kwele, you are out of order. Honorable Julius, can I hear what you say? Can you speak to your mic?
Yes, Deputy Chairperson, is precisely what is happening now. You have allowed our members in the public gallery to participate, and they are not allowed to participate. But I actually waited for you all this time. I'm sorry that I stopped the President, but you failed to act on it. You kept quiet and you waited until one of us stand up to stop your rented crowd here. Can you please act on it? Thank you.
No, that's not a point of order, and therefore I don't consider that. Honorable President, can you continue with this?
On a point of order? On a point of order, Chair. Chair, on a point of order. You see the result of rented mob. They are disrupting the processes of Parliament. You must tell them to keep quiet.
Members.
Tell them to keep...
Member Mokwele, can you take your seat? Can you take your seat? Members of the public, once more, I've raised the issue with you. And now there is an accusation that you have been allowed to participate, which is wrong. It has been raised. It has been raised with you from the onset when the chairperson opened the session to say that this is a formal... Stop engaging with the public, even yourself.
We are engaging you, not them.
Honorable Mokwele, I addressed members of the public. Honorable President, can you continue with the debate?
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Chairperson. Am I allowed to have some water, Deputy Chairperson?
The President is asking for water. Oh, okay.
We are emerging from a period of turbulence.
I wish the issue will be addressed.
Honorable Mokwele, you are out of order. Can you continue, President?
Now more than ever, we must send a very clear signal that we are an NCOP, we are a parliament, and we are a government that is committed to openness, to transparency, and above all, to accountability. The NCOP, and indeed our entire parliament system, is constitutionally and ethically bound to these principles. When local and national government is not working, it is parliamentary oversight that must put us back on course. We must work with our municipalities to ensure greater levels of compliance. We must dutifully fulfill our functions as MPs to ensure that policies are being implemented at all local government levels. Shortcomings must be identified and remedied and resolved. We must take seriously and act upon information concerning corruption in our municipalities, where political patronage is being dispensed in return for favors, or where service delivery is suffering because a few well-connected individuals are the beneficiaries. We must find lasting solutions for the many problems in local government, for when local government fails, indeed South Africa fails. Over the past year, you have traversed South Africa .
Melao e diriswe mo bathong ba botlhe. Ke tsa gore go lo ha re motho ga ntlo ya parliament. Batho ba ko morago ba participate ka go opa matsogo.
No, but the people are quiet.
Ba etsa go opa matsogo gone jana. Ke go
Okay,
go
fine.
robala koa. You must
Honorable-
wake up.
No,
If
man,
you did
can you
not
sit
hear
down,
them,
please?
please
Can you
wake
take
up.
your seat? Can you take your
I
seat?
will forgive you for
No, no, no,
sleeping.
no, no, no.
Thank you.
Honorable Kony, can you take your seat? Oh, President, can you continue?
As the NCOP, you have conducted oversight visits. You have also held public hearings. You have conducted monitoring and evaluation and made recommendations on how we can improve our programs. Your recommendations must be acted upon by all those responsible. As the NCOP, you have been very dutiful in listening to the concerns of our people. South Africans expect us that we as government must act to improve their lives. There can be no higher calling than being of service, and we are duty-bound to ensure this is done with diligence and humanity. In this spirit of selflessness, exemplified by the likes of Utatu Nelson Mandela and Umama Albertina Sisulu, whose centuries we are observing this year, let us take forward our task to correct past mistakes and build a better society. The time you have left as the fifth parliament is very short and very brief. So let us use it wisely and let us use it effectively. Let us finish unfinished business. Let the concerns raised during this year's parliament of the people be resolved. We are united in our commitment for cooperative governance and to enhance it and to make it more effective. Although we may have political differences, and some of those political differences are played out here in the NCOP, we do, however, share a common sense of purpose and have a common duty to serve our people, much as we may differ politically. It is when we work together as different parties that are represented here in the NCOP, as different spheres of government, as different sectors of society, that we make the greatest progress in transforming our society and helping to build the new nation that Nelson Mandela envisaged. Let us continue walking in Nelson Mandela's footsteps and build a great South African nation. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I now call on Honorable Thandi Modise, the Chairperson of the Council.
Thank you, Chairperson. Your Excellency, the President, the Premiers of the Eastern Cape, Limpopo and the Northwest, the Acting Premier of Gauteng, Speaker Mekwe, Speaker Kivit, MECs, Honorable Members, Speakers, Mayors, Councillors, our bosses, the people of Gauteng. Join me in thanking the Mayor of Ekurhuleni for allowing us to host this important event. Allow me to say thank you to the President for the speech, but also thank you, President, for always supporting the National Council of Provinces. Honorable members, we're meeting here under the theme, the impact of migration, deepening cooperative governance for accelerated service delivery and development. We know that across the globe, people are always in motion. People are looking for safer places to live in. People are looking for better jobs. People are actually moving sometimes so that they are able to enjoy their fundamental freedoms, which they might not get in their own home countries. We know that our Constitution protects fundamental rights, regardless of the status of whoever is within our borders. These rights include the due legal processes, the life-saving medical care, and the basic labor protections. We know without doubt that planned and orderly migration have benefits and might actually increase skills in the host country. We also know that unplanned and disorderly migration can be disastrous for the migrants themselves. We know that here at home, our communities, the host communities, are also under stress. And we've been witnessing this in the last 4 years. We know that migration, if not properly managed, becomes a source of political tensions and human tragedies. It causes the flourishing criminal networks who exploit vulnerable people and undermine local laws and regulations. We know that security vulnerabilities are associated with migration. We have also noticed, Mr. President, that globally, migration remains very poorly managed. Since the advent of democracy in our country, we have relaxed the restrictions of the past. Our people are free to move, to stay, to work where they want, without fear, violence, or abuse. We know that if they could, all of us would equally access economic benefits which must accrue to them as citizens of this country. We know that we still need to do a lot to enable every South African to be economically active and to have economic freedom. We do know that when we fought apartheid, one of our pillars in the liberation struggle was international solidarity. So we have always believed in internationalism. We attract a large number of migrants, skilled and unskilled. It is reported that whilst refugees and asylum seekers are able to claim a limited bouquet of rights the vast majority of them here, almost 85%, are here without valid immigration documents and therefore are illegal. Mr. President, we do not believe that ignoring problems make them go away or solve them. And that is why, since the 5th administration of Parliament, we have decided to go on taking Parliament to people on issues that we identify with specific provinces. And that is why in 2016 we went to the Eastern Cape on education. In 2017 we went to the Free State on health. In 2018 we are here in Gauteng on issues of migration because they impact into the lives of South Africans who find themselves in this province. We have also initiated a report back, and we know that this is our last taking Parliament to the people in this term, but we are very confident that whoever comes into the NCOP will do the report back to the people of Gauteng next year. We know, Comrade President, that the research shows that the population of Gauteng is growing, and that growth eats away and places a real burden on service delivery in Gauteng. We have listened to the members of the executive responsible for health, education, and also the Minister of Health, expounding on the dire consequences that this growth has on service delivery. They have highlighted to us how both primaries and secondary schools are affected and how clinics are really under pressure. Most government hospitals, their maternity units, have reported to be under very strong pressure. We do know, Mr. President, from the Minister of Health that almost 60% of the beds are non-South African. We also have an issue around housing. Communities have spent this week detailing how they, as beneficiaries, are sometimes overlooked by some amongst us, but also some amongst us who sell their houses, RDP houses, to foreigners. They have asked us, Mr. President, to be more vigilant in monitoring the beneficiary lists, in monitoring who and how the houses are sold, in monitoring how foreigners get to possess the houses meant for the poor of South Africa. We have also received, Mr. President, during our pre-visits, and even now when we came here for taking Parliament to the people this week, that in over 60 communities, in over 60 sites that we also visited, this includes schools, immigration offices, home affairs, hospitals, police stations, correctional services, including early childhood centers, that the issues are the same. We want resources, we want our access to these facilities at any time when we get sick. One community member said, I don't only get sick before 4, between 9 and 4. Please ensure that you open as many clinics as possible so that especially the old people can have access. One young person stood here, emotional, and said, we do not have a clinic in the vicinity of our informal settlement. We tried to take somebody to hospital. This person died in our hands. So there is a dire need either for capacitation of the mobile clinic with personnel that respects patients and citizens of South Africa as the first clients, or alternatively upgrading of the clinics that we have so that the people of South Africa can at least say the basics that our government promised us we must get. Mr. President, we have heard that the population of Gauteng has doubled since 1994. We have also listened to the Premier, belaboring the fact that the equitable share has not followed the numbers, the increase. We're raising it to say that it does then seem that even though Gauteng has better facilities, better qualified skills, the more of that equitable tenure, even though the other provinces are worse off, that in fact, even from my own province, Premier One Northwest, we burden Gauteng with patience. And we don't sometimes pay back to Gauteng. So we're saying that these matters of provinces which have been growing need to be given more attention, because then the strain and the quality of services to the people is affected. We want to say that we want to recommend that there is a closer eye on the police, because all communities which addressed us in this hall have complained about the quality of policing. They have said that our police connive. They have said that our police know the perpetrators of violence and drug peddlers. They have said that they take bribes. They have said we must clean up the police. They have said that they are not safe in their houses and in their streets. And therefore, we must do something about this. We do know, Mr. President, that not all the police are rotten, that there are very good men and women in the police force. And we must praise those, but we must deal with those who put the name of this country to shame. We want to say that we must do something. Women and children are feeling the pinch. But the communities did not just talk to us about these issues. The community of Reiger Park said that they also wanted a police station because a 4-room was converted into a police station. They have a population of more than 150,000. The police station is too small. They say cable theft is their main problem, and drugs. And they say the cable theft unit is comprised of 6 people. Only 3 are armed, and therefore the thieves outrun them and outgun them anytime. So we want to make sure that we can make sure that we enable the men and women in uniform ably. We want to say that there is a horrifying story of a grandmother who addressed us, Mr. President, who says in the 4-roomed house that she is in, 75 people are accommodated. We are asking all the stakeholders to do something about it, because clearly we need to do something about this. We are concerned, Deputy Chairperson, about bullying tactics at the workplace. A woman firefighter, medico, was fired for protesting against the poor conditions of the firefighters after what happened in the city of Johannesburg. Her dismissal was because she marched to the union buildings wearing her firefighter uniform. It may be wrong, but we are saying to the city of Ekurhuleni, this government must be a government that listens, that directs, that educates, that is compassionate. And therefore we appeal that that case must be reviewed. President, the deaf and blind community have addressed us. They have registered their concerns. They plead for 2 things. They say that their medication in clinics must be written in Braille. They say they need sign language experts so that they are not misdiagnosed, because that puts their lives in danger. They say that sometimes they are ignored because they cannot communicate. So we need to do something about it. Mr. President, the NCOP is a champion on sign language. We want to make sure that throughout our communities and our society that all our people are recognized, all communications are respected, irrespective of what God made us be. We want to say that the elderly, Mr. President, are saying unashamedly that their children and their grandchildren are abusing them in their own house. They are saying that they have organized themselves into a program of washing each other, of feeding one another, of keeping one another company. They are saying, Mr. President, can they get help to get them a permanent old age home where they will feel safe? Now, umphakathi wethu, I think it is a disgrace, especially in Africa, to hear a grandmother saying, I'm abused by my grandchild. So we need to do something about it. It is not just a government thing. Government can help provide an old age home, but Tina, let us behave, let us respect our own parents. Let us make sure that we protect those who brought us into this world. I think government has no role in how I behave towards my mother. I must remember who I am. Comrade President, the communities are also saying they appreciate the good work. Some have said to us they now have state-of-the-art libraries, hospitals, and clinics. But they say we can do more for other communities, and that we must do so. These issues also, as they were raised, we noticed, President, that there are gaps in our policies, and that perhaps we need to go back. Home Affairs definitely needs to go back and relook at the policies and the law. Health needs to go back and relook at how we are dealing with issues. But we want to say that throughout the week, we had members of cabinet here. We had deputy ministers who were very diligent in responding to the public. We had the NYDA, which responded. We must also say that the young people of Gauteng were here in full force. They said to us, insisting that they stay longer in school and at varsity means nothing if that education cannot be translated into jobs. They say to us, they don't necessarily want handouts. They have ideas. They have sponsored ideas on how the economy can benefit them. They are saying, give us seed funding, give us mentorships. And I think that the departments, Sedima Labor, must get closer to the young people of this country. Mr. President, even though I have said that we had a presence of the members of the executive, when we track where we come from since 2015, we're taking Parliament to the people, we must say we are concerned with some responses from the members of cabinet. Some of them are excellent, they attend, they make commitments, they follow up on their commitments. Some of them speak, there is nothing, there is no action that follows the commitments to the public. So we want to raise that very sharply, Mr. President. We agree that Gauteng has a problem. We agree that Gauteng needs to be given attention. But we also want to say that, in fact, it is time that all the provinces are re-looked at. The numbers that represent the people in the provinces, in the legislatures, be re-looked at, because the burden of doing oversight, if we continue the way we are, rests on very few shoulders, and they may leave other things to go down the cracks. Mr. President, we are also saying that we must deal with the issues of illegal immigrants, because we know that this affects Gauteng very, very badly. We know that illicit flows of goods and services is here, and this puts pressure on the criminal justice system. Now, we want to say that our NDP says that the state cannot merely act on behalf of the people. It has to act with the people, working together with other institutions to provide opportunities for the advancement of all communities. It means to South Africans that we must wake up. We must hold hands. We must develop this country together. We can politic, but there are times when we must work together and ensure that the people benefit. Mr. President, we like public participation. We think it is what makes our people tick. It gets their voices into these hallowed chambers. It makes the people talk through us, but it enables them sometimes to talk directly to their government, to input into the policies that we are making. So we want to say that we want to encourage more and more public participation. We want to also say that it helps us to get closer to transparent and accountable governance. There were emotions in this House. People challenged the executive in this House, and we welcomed that, because when we are elected, we must respect those who put us there. I want to thank you very much for your attention, and hope that the walk and the talk of Albertina Sisulu and Nelson Mandela will stay with us. We will be responsible, we will be accountable, and we will continue to love our country. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. I therefore call on Honorable Isaac to continue the debate.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Chairperson, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members in the House today, and of course, my fellow South Africans. It is indeed great to be given this opportunity to debate on this platform and at this level. And as the President spoke so aptly of Tata Madiba, and so did the Honorable Chairperson, mine is a very simple quote, Mr. President. Honorable Mandela and Tata Madiba, as we all know him, said, "The struggle is my life," unquote, and I'm sure and confident you will remember this. So therefore, my fellow colleagues, the struggle is my life is a quotation which indeed should not be taken lightly. This, of course, has seemed to have fallen on deaf ears with the ANC leadership. Now, I will say to you, my colleagues, forgive me if I come out strongly, but I'm just going to state this debate as it is. So therefore, Mr. President, the fight for human rights and equality is indeed far from over. And I say this to the ANC of today. You have lost indeed, with due respect, you have lost indeed your moral compass. You are indeed simply tired. Utaguile, utiniwe, I don't know, but you are indeed tired. So therefore, my colleagues, I say to you with due respect, give up before you completely eradicate the very few pieces of Madiba's legacy that you indeed claim to uphold. Therefore, I say, we cannot honestly and sincerely, we cannot through our own conviction speak of making South Africa a better place if our colleagues, presidents, ministers, deputy ministers, continue to endlessly jeer this country into corruption, criminal activity, violation of basic human rights, lying to Parliament, and of course, by consequence, the dignity, the very dignity of our people. My fellow South Africans, recalling the Freedom Charter, as you so would, Honorable President, has become an insult to those who have been denied the freedoms that it encompasses. And this is having a direct effect and impact on our people. This, of course, is the ignorance that the ANC represents today. Yeah, you can get a little cheered up, it's fine. Speech after speech, speech after speech. 25 years later, we still do not have the South Africa that we have been promised.
Honorable Isaac.
Sir.
Honorable Isaac, just hold. Members, umphakathi. Batho ba ko gae, I'm pleading with you again. Can somebody who has been assigned to take responsibility for order in the public gallery Because we assume that that is a public gallery. Because of this, a formal sitting. Luna, you are sitting in a public gallery. I'm addressing the public, Honorable Mokweli. You see now your behavior is not assisting. Your behavior is not assisting. I don't know what are you trying to achieve. Your behavior is not assisting. Can you allow me to address an issue? Can you allow me to address an issue? Because you are out of order yourself. You are out of order yourselves. Honorable Mokweli, Honorable Koni, I'm not going to raise this thing again with you. Because I'm trying to address an issue here. Because this is our public. We are here to engage with them. And this is an opportunity for them to then see how Parliament operates and how members of Parliament engage. And there's nothing that stops me from saying to them that as we are seated now here, Mamelana Bantu Bageti, you are the public, you are sitting in the public gallery. And by the rules of Parliament, members who are invited and who are seated in the public gallery are not allowed to participate in the course of events of a sitting of a house. So please, I know that you might be tempted at times to want to cheer and all those sorts of things, but restrain yourself. Please, itshwareng batho. Apote, highly factual or factual. Se a se buang, ke se a se buang, ke right ya gagwe. A re mo alawe a bue ntho a batlang go e bua. Okay? Whether a rata kampo a re rate, ke right ya gagwe. Honorable Isaac, can you continue the debate? No, you don't worry about time. You are not losing any time.
Good, okay, great. Chairperson, let me just get on with the crux of the matter. And as I was saying, fellow South Africans, today's ANC cannot deny the tragedies that they have been responsible for in recent years. To name but a few, including Marikana, Life Esindimeni, Nkandla, Eskom, the collapse of SARS, economic recession, a rogue NPA, National Prosecuting Authority, a judicial system that remains under threat, the state and quality of local governments throughout our country, the attack on Chapter 9 institutions, and of course my favorite one, Jacob G. Zuma. Boy, oh boy, didn't you as the ANC screw up on that one? District municipalities are ANC employment.
Honorable Isaac.
Yes, sir.
Did I hear you saying screw up?
Screwed up. Screwed up.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, lovely. Okay, the chairperson has got it. Let's move on.
No, that's fine.
Boy, oh boy, haven't you as the ANC really screwed up on that one? But nevertheless, the district municipalities remain ANC cadre deployment bureaus. And you, Honorable President, can digest that for immediate reference. Today, more than ever, I say to you, my colleagues, we need to go beyond the tragedy of unemployment, inequality.
Can I hear what Honorable Gigi is saying? On what point are you rising, Honorable Member?
Okay. Chair, I just wanted to ask the Honorable Isaac that whether you want to join ANC.
No, that's not a point to be considered. Can you continue the debate?
Can I carry on? Chairperson, I'm just indeed worried about my time when I have to deal with pathetic issues like this. Nevertheless, Chairperson, today, more than ever, we need to go beyond the tragedy of unemployment, inequality, and underdevelopment in our beautiful South Africa. And I say to you, this ANC must turn the lens on themselves and look at their track record. I ask, what progress have we honestly made to eradicate poverty? How are we changing the lives of vulnerable South Africans? What then is the basic level of services provided to all South Africans? When will this empty electioneering rhetoric of the failing governing party eventually turn into tangible, tangible and sustainable results that will benefit this beautiful nation. So therefore, Mr. President, with due respect again, I must ask, why then are 21 Esidimeni patients still missing? Why has the Gauteng government only allocated 118 million rand in the adjustment budget for further claims that are most likely going to be over 200 million rand? And we know this in the Select Committee of Finance. So I speak to you with conviction and honesty and sincerity. I say to you, homes for persons with disabilities and senior citizens are closing under your watch. Why is your MEC refusing to meet with representatives of welfare organizations? Please write that down, Mr. President. The people of South Africa are well versed in the destruction created by the party of Jacob Zuma, Malusi Gigaba, Batlipili Dlamini, Ace Magashule, Nomvula Mokanyane, Jesse Duarte, Gwede Mantashe, and so many more. I don't know where this is going to end. Nevertheless, unemployment is affecting many South Africans. The people of our nation need jobs, but the ANC is continuously failing to create a business-friendly economy that will bring about the so-called many created jobs. Now, Honorable President, I have listened to you in the last few months about the stimulus package, etc. But with due respect, I will move on quickly to what a DA-led municipality is doing in Gauteng. Yes, the city of Johannesburg has up until today, 117,483 potholes have been repaired by a DA-run municipality, the city of Johannesburg. 13 clinics have extended their hours, allowing patients access to healthcare during the evenings and including weekends. DA Mayor Mashaba and the Anti-Corruption Unit has also uncovered 17 billion rand in corrupt activities from previous ANC administrations. 4,417 title deeds have been handed out in Tshwane alone, giving residents ownership and title deeds to be handed over to future generations to come. The DA-led leadership of Mayor Honorable Msimanga, who of course you know will probably be the future Premier of Gauteng, and you can digest that also, has got 704 million rand credit balance in the bank after inheriting a 2 billion.
Honorable Isaac, can you take a seat?
Yes, sir.
Can I take the point?
It must be corrected.
Can you speak to your mic, please?
I'm speaking to it. It makes noise. Maybe if you can switch that one off.
No.
Okay. All right.
Can you speak to your mic, please?
It must be corrected that the DA in Tshwane doesn't lead. It only has a mayor. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, I'm not going to open a debate on this matter. There was. Can I remind members of something? Honorable Mampuru, can I remind you of something? A similar insinuation was made in the previous city. And I made then a ruling to say that I'm going to check Hansard to look at the factual nature of what was said. Then the similar statement was made by Honorable Engelbrecht. I did exactly that. I came back to the House with a ruling, and at that time I said, and I want members not to make statements that would then compromise a presiding officer to then get involved in party, those are arrangements that a presiding officer cannot make a ruling on. So, Honorable Isaac, I would refer you to that ruling, please, and let us continue and conclude your debate.
Chairperson, thank you very much indeed. And I wanted to say that a DA national government will create fair access to real and long-term jobs by creating job centers throughout South Africa. We will, of course, under the DA, we will and definitely speed up delivery for residents within our municipalities. and of course to ensure speedier delivery of quality access to water, electricity and sanitation. Yes, Chairperson, in conclusion, a DA national government will bring the change we deserve. Yes, a DA national government will finally create and bring one South Africa for all. It has indeed been, Chairperson, an honor to debate here in front of the President and, of course, my fellow South Africans. I thank you. Thank you.
Can I therefore call on the Premier of the Eastern Cape, Honorable Musuwa Masuale?
Thank you so much. The Director of the ceremony, the Deputy National Chairperson, the Chairperson of the National Council of Provinces, the President of the Republic, the esteemed members of the National Council of Provinces, the Acting Premier of Gauteng, and the premiers from the other provinces, the speakers, as well as the leadership of the South African Local Government Association present, and of course, our people who are part of this august assembly today. It actually really fills me with great appreciation to join and participate in the deliberations here today, convened by this National Council of Provinces, having done so before, and we're quite happy to provide testimony that during the visit of the National Council of Provinces in the province, where at that time the focus was on education and related challenges, today we can report that many of those schools visited, and of course through very rigorous follow-up and reporting, today enjoy much improved infrastructural conditions, both in the level of sanitation as well as the environment for teaching in those schools. And it is all thanks to the National Council of Provinces, the rigorous that was provided there. And of course, it could not have been not like the Council of Provinces. The theme that was identified for this session is quite apt, and it is indeed going to assist all of us in focusing on the challenges that face the country. Mr. President, we join you in a very thorough account given here of how we are dealing with the challenges that the country is facing. And I think from your wise words, I would like just to echo the wisdom you state when you say we should not be distracted, we should not be made to lose focus, because indeed the noisemakers are only attention seekers who have nothing to offer in this country. We must see them for what they are. Because even when such very deep challenges are enunciated here, they've got nothing else to say but to come here to trivialize such important matters. Matters to do with the basic necessities that our people require, to which the President came here and made an elaborate statement as to what is being done during the difficult times to deal with those matters. We only should see them for what they are. In them, there is not an iota of DNA that could show ability to unite the country. This country was not united and led to where it is by those who were hot-headed or perhaps cared only for few. It is those who had the mind and the heart for all the people of our country, who had such policies that really could make us advance in that path. We embrace your sentiment, Mr. President, that it is indeed difficult times, but there is not a shadow of doubt that your ascendancy into the leadership, not only of the ruling party, but that of the country, has brought about an air of hope and renewal for the rest of the country. We want to say, Mr. President, and the collective that you lead, that you can rest assured of our support. The people of the Eastern Cape are beginning to see some of the results that have to do with the changes that have been put into operation. The announced stimulus package that you have made, we are already seeing the work that is undertaken in revitalizing the industrial parks. More so, it has been the cry of the people of Tembaza in the Eastern Cape that they would like to see factories back into operation there. It's been the cry of the people in Vulindlela and elsewhere in the country. The work that is flowing from the announcement, building on what already has been underway, is beginning to inspire our people with hope that indeed there shall be a dent made to the much difficult challenges that exist in respect of employment that is much needed in that area. For that, we commend the efforts of the President, and of course, we want to say it is correct that that air of hope is, of course, premised in the understanding and the commitment that our people are seeing as demonstrated in the fight against corruption that the President and the collective is leading is quite adamant and decisive on. We think that this must be taken to all facets of the levels of government, local government not excluded, of course also in the private sector. And we appreciate and applaud the work that already is underway. Some of the commissions that are taking place do reinforce the sense of hope that indeed we are turning the tide towards the better. It is something that only the organization that you represent is capable of uniting and leading the rest of society in attending to those matters. Paya ekaya, in vernacular, they say, ehambayo ziyayikhongotha. I may just for the respect of this platform not take any further, but indeed it relates exactly to the point you have made, that we should not be
challenged with physical or disability. The structure of our building does not allow Honorable Khombela to walk up and stand and address us because of this structure. Therefore, I would allow Honorable Khombela to then address us from where he is seated and apologize on behalf of the National Council of Provinces that the situation should be like that. But, you know, if you could have respected Honorable Khombela, you would not have behaved like that. You would not have behaved like that. But nevertheless, Honorable Khombela, you are allowed to address us.
Honorable Deputy Chair, Honorable Speaker, and Honorable Chair of the National Council of Provinces, the Honorable President, the Honorable Mayor of the beautiful Metro of Ekurhuleni, the Ministers and Deputy Ministers present here today, Premiers and Acting Premiers, and my colleague and my friend, Comrade Lisufi, and MECs that are here, all of them, honorable members and our friends from Salga who are going to participate on this important debate today. Honorable Chair, let me start by saying the Free State Province applaud His Excellency the President in rekindling a hope that there is a future tomorrow when many of us and many of the people in the Free State would thinking that there is no hope for tomorrow. But today that zeal and the hope you have rekindled. And a bare batho ba Freistata, tshepiso ha e bole mo President. We understand that the struggle we fought all these years was never an end to itself, but a means to an end, Comrade President. And so social conditions such as indigence, hunger, social deprivation, inadequate jobs, unemployment, crime, poverty, and the rest that bedevil this. We are stable, we are ready to put investment, come so that our people must be able to get jobs. As the late President Nelson Mandela said, I quote, "I have walked the long road to freedom. I have tried not to falter. I have made missteps along the way, but I have discovered the secret that after climbing a great hill, only to find that there are many more hills to climb." So don't ever have an ego and say that I'm on top of the mountain. Yet you have not been on top of the mountain. There are other hills that we have to climb. We in the African National Congress have never had the ego that we have arrived, we have done whatever our people are saying. There's a lot of job that we have to do. Our people are not happy where they are. We need every man and women to put their hands on deck so that at least we make our people to be better. Honorable President, the NCOP to us in the Free State is an iota because it gives the pulse and the life of provinces. When they were in the Free State 2017, we were boasting around to them and say, we have stable schools, state-of-the-art schools, state-of-the-art halls where our children can go and celebrate and do whatever they want to do. The crime in the Free State has gone down because we have a motto there, Repinya Tsotsi. Honorable President, I know your modesty around Repinya Tsotsi, but as soon as a person commits crime, his right has been abandoned. We take that space and show him that he's a criminal, does it. The health in the province has stabilized, Honorable President. Honorable Thandi and the rest, we've shown them a state-of-the-art gadget that would tell us that there are no tablets in Bulata Clinic in Kwatu. And therefore it says we must talk to that clinic and ask them why is the clinic 70% or 50%? And therefore we are able to say to the clinic here is short of the police. It's in Kenya, the police is 90%, 100%. And therefore, it's a year down the line. We have never run short of medication in our clinics through that gadget. Honorable President and Honorable Speaker, I would like to say, many of the people who are talking about the human rights, that in some instances, they have a temptation to say, we have walked over those rights. But I want to say today, from 1910, in the Union of the Republic of South Africa, that has made the African National Congress to be born in 1912. It was the very same human rights that were obliterated, not by black people, by white people in this country. And they are best to say to us today, we are not the champions of the human rights. Human rights in this country are born through the African National Congress, through the life and death of many of our people. Comrade President, our detractors must not make this running so to run forever. Because they're saying today, we have a job reservation. That policy was a stinking and apartheid job reservation policy. Today, we don't have a discrimination in this country, because the African National Congress deemed it fit in its injunction, in its policy position, in saying South Africa belongs to all who live in it. We will stand by that position up until death do us passed. So they must not say things that we have never even commit ourselves to. Our ANC today, even in its literature, will say we must work with people, we must continue to adapt strategies that makes the conditions of people to be better. And in response to the prevailing conditions, The ANC must always, at all times, have an ear to listen to people. But I want to say to Chairperson today, your last year visit to the Free State, because nobody can say he doesn't know the NCOP. He says when we falter in the Free State, that's how we should work. As and when we come across problems of our people, we must resolve them and give them hope. Out of that 3,000 of them, not one got sick, not one got water late, not one get food late, and all of them had a galaxy.
As you conclude.
As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, so that we must contribute to the economy of this country as human beings and respect our rights too. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. I therefore call on the Acting Premier, Honourable Yusuf.
Especially those that couldn't come here to speak on the basis of their disability. Ntate Khompela, I want to apologize on behalf of the Gauteng provincial government, but most importantly, on behalf of our municipality, but not to you alone, but to all people with disabilities. Let me also echo my apology as well to all citizens that were invited to come to this particular meeting. We want to apologize as the Gauteng provincial government that you came here to participate to this important activity, but in return, other people insulted you and said you are a rented corp. To us, you are not a rented mob, you are citizens of this province. And you have the full right to participate in this clear as the Gauteng provincial government. That regardless of the pressure that we see, we want to work together with all citizens of our province. These facilities, please don't chase us away from our own facilities. Our people are very clear that we are willing to work together with those that are coming from other provinces and other countries, but they must respect the rule of law. We don't want people that will come here, instead of accessing our services, they steal our services. We don't want people who will come here, instead of working together with us, they will do wrong things to us and to our children. Our message is very simple. We are prepared to share, but let's do this within the confinement of the law. We are indeed quite aware that also our education system is under pressure. Our education system in 1994 used to have 1.2 million learners. As I stand here, our education system is having 2.4 million learners that we need to take care of. Even within this context, we are prepared to accommodate those that want to be within the education system. Our request is very simple. Get proper documents, you'll get proper education within our education system. Because with proper documentation, we'll be in a position to account and we'll be in a position to get resources that will allow us to attend to these particular matters. We are indeed excited as well, Chairperson, that today to have built 1.2 million houses in Gauteng, benefiting more than 3 million houses. However, our housing backlog remains at 1.1 million. We have taken a decision as the Gauteng provincial government that gone are the days of building 300 RDP houses there, or building 200 RDP houses away from factories, or building 35 RDP houses in areas where our people can't get jobs. From now on as Gauteng, we've taken a sober decision that when we build RDP houses, they must start in thousands, not in hundreds, because our people need houses immediately. The new Savannah housing project is a confirmation that you are taking this important trajectory so that our people can get houses closer to where they work and that they don't have to spend
that rule. Well, I'm not going into detail here because this is not a rules workshop. It's not a rules workshop. Can you
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chair. If I was
Point
member...
of order, a point of order.
If I was member Julius...
A point of order, Chair.
Yes, Honorable Labuskaghni.
The point of order is, Honorable Chairperson, there is rules done by the Rules Committee of this House. The rule says that the time allocated this list is the time. The chairperson can only have discretion when there is no time allocated in the case of the president. This is the rule. Thank you.
Honorable, Honorable, Emampili Batu, Haleme, be patient. Be patient. I've made a ruling, and therefore a ruling of a presiding officer stands.
Thank you so much, Chair. If I was member Julius and the DA, I'll not be worried about time. I'll be worried about what the EFF has said about you, that in Johannesburg and Tshwane, you only have mayors. We don't control the municipality. That's what should worry you.
Okay.
That's what should worry you.
Honorable Lisufi. Honorable Lisufi, your time has expired.
With stooges who would agree to every instruction, engineering the placement of looting agents in SOE boards in order to drain all the resources of the SOEs, instilling a sense of fear to all the accountability institutions, including Parliament, so that oversight and accountability become meaningless. Borders freely to everyone so that the hooligans easily help themselves to the country's resources with their friends, running down all the good prospects of good governance and creating a state of mediocrity, running down the economy of the country and create a state of perpetual debt to the state for voting purposes, the collapse of all the state institutions that can sting, removing teeth to those that can bite, as it happened with the Scorpions and the NPA, with a close call at SARS, to mention just a few. The little that we have remaining, all thanks goes to the Constitutional Court, the Judiciary, and the Office of the Public Protector under Advocate Thuli Madonsela. These episodes and many others not mentioned here collapsed our economy, worsened our poverty levels, worsened our inequality gap, increased the burden of our unemployment, and destroyed our country's prospects to prosperous development. I have heard the members of the ruling party arguing that 24 years of democracy could not have been enough to undo the 300 years damage, colonialism, and apartheid. The impact of the damage of the past 9 years is not very different from the 300 years damage of colonialism. Mr. President, this means that the country must brace for